Welcome back to Sendspark Studio South here in sunny Austin, Texas. Humanize your outreach and send a video. Today we've got Steve Ruiz, member of the go-to-market team over at Salesbricks, and my best friend. Steve, scale of Sbarro to Joe's, how are we doing today?
I'm on like a Prince Street right now.
Prince Street Pizza. So you're in like a 7 to a 9 range right now. Steve, you want to jump into the questions?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Just a quick one from me, my own edification, maybe some of the folks that are listening in and around Austin. Before we get started with the main questions, are you sticking around Austin? And if so, what's the biggest reason?
I'm 100% locked and loaded for year 2 in Austin, and you are the biggest reason as to why I'm staying here.
Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be something around like the barbecue or the weather is just so good.
The weather helps for sure. The 110-degree weather doesn't help. And also waking up the other day where I left my window cracked and it dipped down below 40. That also was a surprise for me. But all in all, the weather here has been way more predictable than New York. So I'm here for a while.
I've been out of New York for so long that I forget how unpredictable New York weather can be. You know, when you leave in the morning and you're like, all right, I wear a jacket, and then you're sweating by the time you get to the subway and you got to remove that. And noon comes around and you're shoving pizza down your throat and you're just sweating again, and then it gets cold. So I think you're right about that. There is more predictability. Thank you so much for answering that question, Steve. Let's jump right into it. So my niece listens to this podcast. Can you explain what you do at Salesbricks in a way an 8-year-old would understand?
Sure. I actually have a niece and nephew of my own that are that age. So I've been through this exercise before. What I tell them and what I would tell your niece is that Uncle Brian's friend Steve helps smart people at cool companies solve fun problems. And when she grows up a little more, I would tell her that I help startups create faster paths to revenue. She'll know what Shopify is by that time. And I'd tell her that we're like the Shopify for B2B SaaS.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that answer. All right, Steve, what is your superhero origin story? You're bit by a spider moment. You looked at the world one way, and then something happened, and it's led you to where you are today.
I would say my bit by a spider moment happened when I was working in commercial real estate. And all of my peers and colleagues were focused on securing customers that were private equity, hedge funds, Park Avenue teams that were well-funded and could afford any real estate around Manhattan. But at that moment, I realized that I would have no competitive edge there, right? And so I thought to myself, where would I actually provide value and where would I have a network that I could leverage and really connect with some of these clients who are actually growing within New York City? And that was in tech. And a lot of my friends were startup founders. I found myself reading VentureBeat and TechCrunch and Wired every single morning, right? And this is where my passions lied. So I was actually excited about these companies. And I would reach out to the founders, CTOs, CFOs, and we'd have these awesome conversations, and I'd help them design these scalable and flexible real estate strategies. But in doing so, the deal cycles for these companies would range somewhere between 6 weeks to 6 months. And I'd be really embedded with these companies, and I'd be seeing how exciting these products they're building are and how engaged their teams are with building this, like these new innovations. And I found myself returning back to Midtown and putting my tie back on, just feeling depressed that I wasn't a part of it. And it made me sad. There was no amount of money in real estate that could really lure me away from what I'd experienced and what I've seen with these startups. And so it took a while for me to get here where I am today. But for sure, that bit by a spider moment happened easily 10 years ago.
I remember those times when you'd be out in Williamsburg before Williamsburg became completely the hottest thing on the market out in New York.
Yeah, I destroyed Williamsburg.
You destroyed Williamsburg. You heard that here, folks. Steve was
Right
part of the
there.
reason that you can't afford to live anywhere in Williamsburg. What's a two-bed over there going for right now? $6,500, $7,200, something like that?
Like $76,000 a week, I think.
Yeah. So you were actually in startup realm way before I was. And I didn't know that we would land in the same place, but I'm glad that you did, man. Steve, as a technology buyer, as a go-to-market leader on the Salesbricks team, what are some of the things that are happening in the B2C world that we're not doing enough of in the B2B world? What can we apply further in the B2B tech space?
I would say what I've learned most recently from my conversations with early stage founders and in the conversations that I'm having is that I'm connecting with these companies who have an amazing product. They're addressing a huge problem for a massive market, but they don't really have a sales process or a sales strategy rather. And they're not positioned to close deals in a way that B2C companies allow a frictionless experience for their buyers, right? And so You're looking at companies that are using Google Sheets. They're building all these unique Stripe SKUs and they're connecting them to DocuSigns, right? And that works for them now because they just have a handful of customers, but they don't realize that in the future, that process isn't going to be able to support them. And it's not a scalable methodology. So while they don't realize now that it's a problem for them, it's going to happen. And we're trying to be proactive about these conversations, right? So we're trying to help them build these better behaviors earlier on. It's a lot harder to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is that we have these conversations and I'll hear a founder objection like, I understand what you're saying, but this isn't a problem for us now. And then in a few weeks, they actually reach back out and they say, oh, this is a problem for us now. I'm sorry that I didn't understand.
Take you seriously or yeah.
They're like, I kind of punted this and now it's a real problem. So I just hired my first AE. We have a revenue leader on the team now. And we're all scrambling to figure out what is the best process for us. Could you please help us out today?
And that's what you're doing with Salesbricks, right? It was helping these early stage companies that have an awesome product, but they're using small company mentality and small company technologies to scale, to build this product that hopefully is in the hands of lots of people. So as they grow, they outgrow those technologies and then they're faced with a really big problem. That's where Salesbricks comes in, I'm under the impression, to come in and help them scale those sales motions.
Yeah, you're looking at these early stage startups. They're trying to be as lean as possible, right?
Yeah.
And so our job is really to educate them and to serve as a resource and establish ourselves as a trusted advisor for these companies so that they can understand what lies ahead for them if they intend to be a successful business. And then we're able to support them throughout that journey and just plug in and share with them best practices, allow them to consolidate their tech spend and to build a more lean stack so that they could close deals faster. Everybody keeps saying close deals faster, right? What does that really mean? So I would allude to a conversation that our team had recently with an account executive from a company I won't name, but I brought our CEO onto the call and this AE gave an amazing demo. We were really impressed by the product. And John said, our CEO said, I like this. I want to buy it now. Give me 6 licenses and help me out with a reasonable discount.
On the call.
On the call.
Okay.
And the AE, you could see his eyes. He was sort of excited and then he was nervous.
Yeah, like, then that glisten in the eyes went away a little bit when he realized.
He went deeper, like into a black hole. And he said, I'm going to get back to you later today. Oof. And then I looked at John's face and John was like, I want to buy it right now. I don't have time for this. The rest of my day is actually very busy. I have my credit card in hand. I'm about to give you X $1,000. Give me what I want. And it took the person 4 days to get back to us. Oof. We ended up buying it, but is that the precedent you want to set, or is that the way you want to present yourself initially in a relationship? Do you want to show up late to your first date? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to show up late. No, it's just a perfect example of what you're all trying to do at Salesbricks. It's what you're trying to do. It's like, okay, close me on the phone. If there's someone that wants to buy something on the phone, and that's what you're trying to pull from the B2C world, is to be able to close revenue faster. Steve recently saw that Loom, a screen recording tool very similar to ours here at Sendspark, get acquired by Atlassian for nearly $1 billion. What are your thoughts on the space?
I mean, that's validating news, is it not? For an industry powerhouse that's been in this space for ages, serving customers of every size, to make a purchase like that. What I would say for Sendspark, though, is that this really allows you to serve that SMB and mid-market space with less competition almost, because Sendspark is so focused on helping sellers embrace video. To, again, referencing back to close deals faster, I would say that Sendspark allows people to have conversations and to build relationships faster with video. And so this sort of opens up a lane for you where you know now with proof from the market that this is a valuable space to get involved with. And so for me, coming from a background where I used to close all of my biggest customers and create these deal cycles purely through cold emails. I'm not necessarily proud to say this, but I haven't secured a new customer through email in probably 8 months to a year.
It hasn't happened.
Where it has happened, though, is every day on LinkedIn when I'm sending a brief 250 character message introducing myself. And I always close with a signature, here to help, Steve Ruiz, and I have a Sendspark video. that is a 90-second commercial covering exactly what Salesbricks is, what the pain points we solve for are, and how simple it is to integrate with your current sales process. I can't imagine my life without Sendspark anymore, honestly.
How many emails are in your inbox with video in them? How many do you get over the course of a month?
On a good day, I probably receive a minimum of 100 emails with maybe 1 to 2 videos in them.
Really?
Those are typically the only emails that I open and actually respond to.
All right, great. That's a way higher number than I hear. So I think it's good to hear that you're getting video messages. Yeah, it's good that more people are using it. It's just something that's really untouched when you think of just go-to-market leaders and the amount of volume of emails that they get. They're just kind of combing through and not really seeing much that really gets their attention, but a video does.
I mean, to clarify though, I'm receiving up 100 emails and only 1 or 2 of them has video included. 1% video.
What problem were you trying to solve when you started using Sendspark?
I was trying to address the problem, or the challenge rather, of communicating our business's value proposition. And what's so confusing or what's so complicated about it is that Salesbricks solves so many things for so many people that articulating the solution in just a simple sentence or a paragraph is very complicated, especially when you're doing outbound. And so what's been amazing for us is that we've essentially created a 90-second demo using Sendspark. And it's the tip of the spear that really opens the conversation with everyone that we're reaching out to. And so when I include that Sendspark in my outreach, that allows our customer to really understand and to see what it is that we're building here to help startups like them solve those problems.
As far as when you use Sendspark, what triggers you to send a video? And is it a second touch? Is it a third touch? Where are you using it in your sequence, your outbound cadence?
That's a great question. I've been experimenting with using the video in my initial messaging, and I think it's very case sensitive. So if I've met the person before, or if we've had a conversation outside of LinkedIn or email, I like to follow up and place a face to a name. I'll include the video on the first message.
Got it.
But typically I like to do outbound through LinkedIn, where I ask permission, would you like to see Salesbricks in action? Would you like a 90-second demo? Just respond why, and I'll shoot it over to you today. And so then when they actually accept my connection request, or if they follow up with me and they show interest, that's when I hit them with the video, and it's a game changer. Totally closes the conversation, reduces my combo by 5 or 6 messages. Just hit them with the video.
5 or 6 messages. You're doing way less of that. I mean, those are less back and forth between these people. So I guess that's how you're using it, right? So results-wise is kind of what you're digging into a little bit. Would you say it's shortened your sales cycle? How would you put it into words as far as like the results that you've seen using the video outbounding?
Man, I've tried everything before purchasing Sendspark. And I'll tell you, after weeks and months, I was really beat up by it all. And I thought maybe I was doing it all wrong, or maybe this is the wrong place for me, or I was the wrong person for Salesbricks. And I kid you not, as soon as I started using the video in my LinkedIn outbound, I'm clocking 10 new connections a week easily, booking 2 meetings a day at minimum. And our team is just building this flywheel where it keeps compounding. We're sending the messages. We see that they're sharing the messages internally.
So right, with the analytics. Okay, I see.
Yeah, using the analytics, we get to see that the video actually creates a champion for us, because they don't know how to articulate what it is that we do to their teammates. All they have to do is share the video. It's very simple for somebody to learn and understand what it is that you are doing and who you're doing it for using video. I'm not a wordsmith. I think that I'm pretty eloquent with my words.
I know you are. That's pretty good, but okay.
I'm a better writer than I am orator, but if I just get to share that video over and over again, we get to fine tune it and really dial in on our messaging. And then it's repeatable. It's a scalable message that I get to share with my teammates. Even our engineers and design team, they get to use that video too. It works for everybody. And that's what I love about it.
I love that you have sort of a standard video that has the value proposition of Salesbricks, kind of like this is what it does. So you use that. That one is one that you don't have to re-record all the time. That one is just, it's built, it's uploaded into Sendspark. You see who's seeing it, who's sharing it around. And then you have your own one-offs that you send to kind of put a face to the name if you've had those conversations with people before, right?
Yeah.
Now, Steve, what would you say to someone in your position, a go to market leader at an early stage startup? What would you say to someone who's considering video outbound and more specifically, Sendspark?
I would say you just have to start doing it, right? Everyone always creates these obstacles and these hurdles in their mind where you create these excuses. And so one of my old friends used to tell me, stop being an excuse factory and just effing do it. And
Really?
that's the way I felt about doing this. And I think when you and I were chatting about video outbound many months ago, you sort of gave me that nudge too of like, hey, you might not like your voice, you might not like your face,
Yeah.
but guess what? You're humanizing your business by showing someone that you care enough to reach out to them and communicate that you care about them and their business. So at this point, I may or may not listen to this podcast ever again. I may not look at it ever again, but I feel confident in the fact that I'm doing it. I'm here. I showed up
Yeah.
and I'm doing the uncomfortable things. So here we are.
And I salute you for that one, man, just because we are the same age. And I think we're firmly in the millennial sort of bucket. It's not very common for millennials to be very video forward. Leaders our age, people our age aren't using video. And the fact that you are using video is setting you apart, is what I'm trying to say. You're
Yeah,
humanizing the outreach, but more importantly, you're kind of standing out a little bit because it's not Steve Ruiz, the kid who just came out of college. It's Steve Ruiz who's out there providing value. People know who you are out there on LinkedIn. You're doing good things out there. You take your job seriously. And the fact that you're actually putting yourself on camera, on video, I think it makes a big impression. Would you agree?
it's a differentiator 1000%. And I try to think about it from my own perspective, where I said before, I get 100 emails a day. I essentially select all and delete them. But I also get dozens of LinkedIn requests where I could automatically see in the messaging that this is automated,
Yep.
this is AI driven. But if someone reaches out to me and includes a video, immediately I feel compelled to at least respond and say, thank you for this message. Whether or not your solution actually works for me, I appreciate this. And I'm going to remember your name. I'm going to remember your
Yep.
face. And next time I need something where you could serve as a resource to me, that video message is going to make all the difference for me to go back to you.
It's that level of effort, I think, right? Because even if you saw a really well put together email, Steve, that
Yeah.
really spoke to you directly or spoke to a pain point, it's almost like game, acknowledge game. It's like, hey, man,
Yeah.
thank you for what you put together. I really appreciate it. This is really good work because we've done that, right? And when you get someone that says this is a good email, it really does kind of push you. Even if it's not a deal, you know that that started a relationship in a way.
I would say that messaging that is lazy and uninspired is probably the most offensive form of outreach that you could ever try to deploy in your strategy. It shows so much about who you are and what you care about. And it says a lot to me, especially about how your company treats customers.
It's a big no-no for Steve. We've got a listener call-in question from Aaron McReynolds over at Elysio. He asks, Steve, what would you do for work in an alternate universe?
You know, during the pandemic, I spent a week with my family out on the North Fork of Long Island. And the most calming experience I had while I was out there was when I would grab breakfast with my sister and we'd go to this farm nearby and they'd make us these amazing chilaquiles. And while I'd eat breakfast, these roosters would run past my feet. I'd see goats. And I would just stare out into the farm where I thought to myself, this would be a pretty good gig if you could really secure something like that. So I would be overalled up, pitchfork in hand, and I'll be raising goats out on the North Fork.
Steve, now, I know you a long time. I know you like 20 years almost. You wouldn't get bored out there? Something's got to be nearby. Coffee shop, a bar, somewhere to buy clothes.
I'd probably start farming psychedelics on the lowdown, but I'd find a way to relax out there. I think my mind is constantly running, especially in sales. So it's nice to find peace somewhere where you could actually relax and just take a deep breath, you know?
Farmer Steve, that's a great answer. Aaron, I hope you liked it. Steve, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the past 6 months?
I bought this book about how to farm on the North Fork recently.
No, you didn't.
I know.
Oh, okay. What a great follow-up that would have been if that was for real.
Yeah, less than $100. I bought smart outlets that connect to Alexa via Bluetooth. I'm constantly on the run and I travel often. So I'm
Okay.
always nervous that I left the lights on somewhere. I left the living room lights
Oh,
on, or I left the bedroom lights on. And so I just get to tap into my phone. I think it was a $20 purchase for maybe 5 outlets. So I have a living room, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, and I just get to access that from my phone. It gives me some sort of like peace knowing that the lights aren't on. I hate wasting energy.
I
I
do
hate the
too. I think it's that Latino being grown up like that, where it's like, turn off the lights.
yeah, yeah. What do you
The
think? I own Con Edison?
Con Edison, that's what I don't miss is Con Edison energy bills. Down here in Texas, they're a little bit better than getting the Con Edison $300 AC bill in the middle of summer. So
I
smart
get the, I get the,
outlets,
I get the weekly update that says I spent $7 this week on electricity, which is great.
there's no waste of energy. Thank you so much for that answer, Steve. What is an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love? What makes you weird?
An unusual habit that I love is actually cleaning my home. I love to vacuum. I love to do the dishes. I love to do laundry. I change my sheets constantly.
How
And I'm
often
just
do you
like
change your sheets?
once a week.
Oh my, I'm embarrassed.
That's disgusting, man.
I'm sorry, but I don't do Jesus. I'm gonna do my sheets right after this one.
Get a top sheet as well.
A top sheet?
Yeah, treat yourself like it's a hotel, man. Get a top sheet, separate your body from the blanket.
Hold on. No, now you gotta know this. So I've got the fitted sheet, and then I've
Yeah.
got another sheet, and then I've got a duvet. I've got a
Yeah.
comforter or whatever those are called. What am I
Right.
missing?
You're not missing anything. It's fitted sheet, your body, top sheet,
Top
do.
sheet. All right, I'm good with that then at least. Sweet. I would
Yeah.
have felt like my whole life, this would have been terrible. I would have felt like I'm living in squalor. Steve, who do you think we should interview next?
Who I would recommend you speak to is Abby Lauren Menando, who is the biz ops person at Equals. And she is probably the most thoughtful and intelligent person who I've spoken to in the past 2 months or even over the past year, to be honest, where it's just been such a pleasure working with her. We have a great working relationship. Our teams are
Okay.
working together now. We're Equals customers, and she's been such an insightful and helpful piece of that puzzle that really helped us understand the value of Equals. So I'm sure she knows way more than I do, and I'm sure she'd be a way better guest than I am.
Abby Lauren Menando. I'm going to send this clip directly to her and be like, hey, you've got a fan
Absolutely.
over at Salesbricks, and we got to get you on. I'm not selling you anything.
100%.
Thank you. So we're just going to jump into everyone's favorite question. It's the billboard question. Steve, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, I'm paying for it. Everyone would see it every single day. What would it be and why?
My billboard would say, support your friends. And I want to take this moment to actually thank you for supporting me for so long and for actually helping me through my career to get me to where I am today. It really means a lot to me that you've helped me. And it's something that I think about often, where I try to help my friends and support them with their endeavors as well. You never know what somebody's going through, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just there for someone and you support them, you could really make a difference in their lives. So I thank you for making such a huge difference in mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's something that, well, you know what? It was reciprocal in a way because early on, way before we got into B2B kind of startup life, I was kind of lost in what I was doing. And you were always someone that I would reach out to when I knew that was connected to someone that you might have known. And you, with at the drop of a hat, would
Yeah,
reply or set me up with someone. It probably didn't work out or it would work out, but you were just like, yeah, we're going to put you in there if you need help, right? So your
absolutely.
billboard is something that you've done for as long as I've known you. I think that's a great one, man. We're going to get that one out and up for you in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, I'll start looking around Austin. I think billboards are pretty cheap around here. I wouldn't mind actually footing the bill to get a real billboard that says support your friends, sponsored by Steve and Brian.
You're absolutely right about that. That's not
We
a
could
bad
throw one
idea.
up
Hold on.
overnight too, just
Can we
guerrilla
buy
style.
this? Can we buy this in Austin? That would be sick. Take a picture of it. Do you know what I thought? I could have sworn what yours was going to be. And in my head, I didn't write it down. I know what it is. I honestly thought you were going to say, as your billboard, wealth is of the heart and mind, not the pocket.
Billionaire Boys Club.
I've never forgotten that. I remember when you told me that 15 years, maybe even further than that. It's just such a beautiful way to think of things. Not just money, wealth in friendship, wealth in just relationships with people, wealth in just how you feel. It's funny we're talking about that because I think it's mine, right? But yours is beautiful. I think it's such a great message. I think we're going to end on that, man. How do you think we did?
I think you did an all-star job, man. I remember when you first started this, and to be very honest, I thought to myself, what is this guy doing? Is he out of his mind going
Well, that's
on
a
here?
lot of things I do. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, the podcast is probably the least insane thing.
That's what makes you you, though, and that's what's so great about you.
Thanks, man. All right, Steve, thank you so much for joining me on I'm Not Selling You Anything, and I'll see you out there in the B2B sphere.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. Bye.